going to St. Matthew's, the 14th chapter, starting at the 22nd verse. And I promise I'll try not to be with you long. But I pray that I do everything that God has instructed me to do. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitude away. And when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the winds was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a spirit." They cried out for fear. And when I say they cried out, I don't mean they just cried. I mean they yelled. They screamed. These were men. They screamed. They were afraid. They were afraid. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it be you, bid me come unto thee on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boistering, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, "Oh, you of little faith, where did you doubt?" And when they were come unto the ship, the wind ceased. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, "Of a truth, thou art the Son of God." Oh, ye of little faith. Wow. Where did you doubt? Talking about on impact. On impact. What knocks? What's knocking the faith out of you? What's knocking the wind out of your faith? It happens in the storm. It happens in the storm. This wasn't your ordinary night or morning. We find the disciples in the middle of the ocean or the lake. Jesus, believe it or not, was going through a storm himself. He had just found out his cousin was beheaded. And he had just ministered to a multitude of people. Not only did he minister to them, but he made sure they had lunch and dinner, and he sent them their way. He was still in the middle of a storm. Can you believe Jesus went through storms? Do you believe that? Jesus had his own storm. He had people coming at him. Some believed in him and some was trying to take his very life. He was trying to get his disciples to see who he was. And they were doubting him. At this festival, at this part where Jesus was ministering to the people, one of the disciples came up to him and said, "Why don't you send them home? It's getting late. And they got to find some food. We ain't got nothing to feed them with." And Jesus said, "We're going to feed them. Sit them all down." And so Jesus prayed over the few fish and 5 loaves, and was able to feed a multitude of people. Those people turned around, they saw the miracle. The disciples saw the miracle. So when this incident happened on the boat, Jesus walking on water, trying to get to his disciples. At that time, the sea was raging, and it said strong winds. So what are you dealing with today? Are you dealing with wind? Are you dealing with rain? Are you dealing with a storm? See, in the wind, when the wind is blowing, you can maneuver. You know, some things. You can maneuver. Keep your wig on. You know, put some bobby pins in it. Keep your hair on. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, if it's raining, you just have to get a rain umbrella. But in a storm, that can kind of affect your day. That can kind of affect the things that you're going to do. So storms can either determine the outcome of your life and impact it to a place where you're not able to do what you need to do for Christ. It can stop things from happening. It can immobilize you. It can stop the flow of life the way that it's supposed to go. That's when a storm comes. It can stop things. It can break things. You know, people that are still dealing with the storm and the effects of the hurricane a couple of weeks ago, they can tell you now that life is not the same. And it will probably never, ever be the same. You know, they're still waiting for funding. They're still waiting to try to rebuild their lives. They've lost the things of the past. They've lost pictures and precious memories and homes and cars and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to take a while. When a storm comes in your life, it takes a while. As somebody says, the process. You ain't going to just bounce back. You don't just bounce back off of life. Off of somebody dying. You don't just wake up and, hey. You know what really trips me out, if I'm watching the news and they're talking about a couple of people that has been shot and this person's been shot, and they can go to the next story like it's nothing. Oh, and by the way, they're having, you know, it's nothing. It doesn't affect them like it affects someone else. Your storm may not affect me as it affects you, of course. You know, Peter was bold. He told Jesus, he said, just bid me to come. If it's you. Now, mind you, Jesus didn't tell Peter to come. He didn't say, hey, Peter, why don't you come up here? You know, let me see. No, Peter volunteered. Peter said, hey, bid me to come. If it's you, bid me to come. And we say that to Jesus. Hey, bid me. Bid me this house. Bid me this car. Bid me this marriage. Bid me this lifestyle. Bid me this job. And then when it gets too tough, save me. Don't you care that we perish? Don't you care that this is driving me crazy? This is hurting my heart? This is wearing me down? What Peter do? He walking on the water. He get out the boat. He bold. He get out the boat and he began to walk to Jesus. And then all of a sudden, they said the wind started to blow even harder. And so he looked around and he started looking around on the left and on the right of him, and he took his eyes off Jesus. He took his eyes off the one that commanded him to come. He took his eyes off Jesus. And sometimes that's what we do. The stuff that I'm hearing today, the stuff that I've been hearing for the last several months, oh my God. It got me kind of wondering, But it doesn't matter. I got to keep my eyes on Jesus.
That's right.
Don't know what the outcome's going to be after November the 5th. But I said, Jesus, help me keep my eyes on you.
That's right. Don't write it down.
Because we're getting older.
Yeah.
I'm in my 60s.
All right.
I ain't got time. I ain't got time to give up. I ain't got time to turn my back on him. I got to trust the process. And somebody said, hey, he brought me through this. I'm still here. Of all the little things that she named, hey, I'm still here. After the death of my daughter, death of my mother, death of family members, church family members, we're still standing. Peter, gosh, Peter was something different.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
His name was mentioned 158 times in the Bible.
All right.
He is one of the 12 apostles. And at this time he was known as a disciple. He was called Simon and Cephas. He was a native fisherman of Bethsaida. History of Peter is known in Matthew, John, Acts, and Galatians, and of course his books, 1st and 2nd Peter's. Peter was a married man. He had no leadership over the entire church. He ministered primarily to Jews only, and was not even over the Jewish section of the church, much less that of the Gentiles. Peter was only an elder among many others. There is not the slightest proof that he ever visited Rome. Paul in no epistle to Rome and in none written from Rome ever mentions him as being a resident bishop there. Instead of going west, we find Peter going east and writing an epistle from Babylon. We know nothing of his death other than that which is written in John 21, 18 and 19. Peter has some issues. He may have lost his faith in walking the water, but also he backslid.
Yes, he did.
He backslid. Sorry, I thought I had that page. I'm like, hot. But he backslid. And that's because, as Vatika was saying earlier today, our assistant pastor, when we're not engaged in those things of God, when we're not taking time out to get strengthened from God, by God, we lose ground. We lose hope. We are afraid all the time. I know this to be true because the neighborhood I live in is really something different. And being by myself, it's not safe. And people are trying to break into my house. I can tell, I can see. But thank God that every time I come home, my door has not been jammed open and my stuff is still intact. And he's just good. But there are 12 steps in going into a backsliding or losing your faith or losing your hope, not trusting God. There are 12 steps in Peter's backsliding condition that we have to look we have to look out for in our own lives. He's boastful in his own self. He made Christ a liar. He slept instead of praying. He failed to mortify the flesh. That means to put it in subjection to God. He relied on the arm of flesh. He forsook Christ and fled. He followed afar off. He sat with the Lord's enemies. He gave up hope. He was discouraged. He became afraid of men. And he lied. He cursed. Jesus had predicted his backsliding and his reconversion. So he was converted. But sometimes when we get converted, because we have turned back, and because we have lost ground, we will never get that position back. You know, those things that God has in store for us, if we were to turn back and then come back, we might lose that place. He may not be able to trust us to gain that ground again. So you may not get that position back. We can lose things when we give up, when we stop trusting him, when we take our eyes off of him. When the going gets tough, I pray that we get tougher.
All right. Amen.
When it gets to be unreal,
All right.
and we're going to see some things that's just unreal.
Yeah. I believe.
Because we're already hearing it. We're already hearing it.
All right.
And it's so unreal that this is happening in America in this day and time. But apparently God thought good of us, that we're able to handle it.
Yeah. That's right.
And I just cannot take my eyes off of Christ. I pray that I stay so focused.
Yes.
Literally, it is necessary.
Yes.
It is necessary
Yes.
that we stay focused.
Yes.
That we look to him,
Yeah.
from which cometh our help.
Yes.
Realizing that all our help comes from the Lord.
Yes.
Oh my God. You get on a Sunday.
Yes. I believe.
Help us to stay focused. Help us not to look to the right or to the left, but to look up in faith. Whatever comes our way, God, help us to stay focused. My God. Sunday.
Yes, Lord.
Oh my goodness, Sunday. Stay focused. No matter what it looks like, no matter how the wind is blowing.
Stay focused.
Woo. And he understands. Again, he understands our fear.
Yes.
He understands our hesitation.
Yes.
Oh, you this. My God.
Yes, Lord.
Oh my God. Church. He got us Sunday.
Yes.
Woo. Stay focused. Stay focused.
Yes, Lord. Stay focused.
Oh, you that's. Oh, me that's. Keep your hands in God's hand. Stay connected to the vine. Stay connected to our source. It is Jesus. It is Jesus. There's no other help I know but Jesus. The angels can't help us unless Jesus sent them. I know you know we can't trust in man.
Oh, no.
I know you know no matter who wins the election.
Right.
Still living in this evil world. Somebody asked, is Satan the ruler of the weather? Now you kind of wondered, is he the ruler of the weather? I mean, all these disasters that's going on, does he rule? No, he does not. No, he does not. He doesn't rule anything. He still have to get permission. He still have to get permission from God. Things are going to happen though. And he may form something, but it will not prosper. He will form stuff to try to take us out, but it won't prosper. Stay focused, people. Stay focused and believe. Continue to trust God. Continue to look to Him, from which cometh our help. For all our help comes from the Lord.
Yes, yes. Amen.